Radio for Skaro.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 705. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Morning, Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
This week is our second commentary for Series 11, The Ghost Monument, with Shannon Dohar, plus some other bits of sundries and news and everything else about upcoming Blu-ray releases. But the lead story is, of course, the passing of the Doctor Who legend. And I do not use those words lightly. Terrance Dicks, at the age of 84, died in late August. The news came out last week. The internet flooded with tributes. Terrance, though just Terrance, not Terrance Dicks, just the word Terrance was trending in the UK, number one trending in the UK. When the news
this is during Brexit's finest hour, too, I might point out.
Yeah, if you can call it that. Yeah. Terrance Dicks, script editor from 1968 to 1974, writer of several stories after that, novelizationist of dozens of Doctor Who books, and of course had a writing career outside of Doctor Who as well, and was even working on a short story for a Doctor Who collection that's coming out later. So was writing up until the very end.
Single-handedly rescued the Five Doctors.
Where do you start? What do you say about Terrance Dicks, who basically taught a generation of Doctor Who fans to read? I mean, I think a lot of people of our age can basically remember their first book, and it was likely a Doctor Who novelization. I mean, gentlemen, your thoughts on the great Terrance Dicks?
I mean, that pretty much sums it up. I had virtually every book at one time, most of them by him.
Uh-huh.
So I think. I mean, obviously, he's a big deal in terms of TV too. But for me, the book, and for a lot of people, the books are the thing that stick with you.
Yeah, no, big time. Yeah, I'm sat just a handful of feet away from my bookshelf full of Target novelizations, many by him. Yeah, I don't know if you just did it for the love or the paycheck or the fact that it's easy.
Why not both?
Maybe it's easy for him to dash off a 128-page novelization, but no, he was like prolific. Doesn't even begin to describe his Target novelization, aspect of his career. But
also, it takes a fair bit of skill to actually dash off 128 pages on command. Like that's not an easy thing to do,
especially for the war games.
Well, yeah.
I mean, fair enough. He wrote the script for it, but how do you condense that?
Yeah.
But no, his name was everywhere when it came to the book stuff. And yeah, as a kid, I definitely any adoration I had of reading came from him and what he wrote. Well, the Target range in general, but of course, every second Target book you pick up is by Terrance Dicks.
Uh-huh.
And
I would say my love of reading wasn't restricted to his, but it certainly helped.
no, that's what more or less kicked anything like that off. And then, of course, once the Target books were done, book 2 of the New Adventures range, Exodus by Terrance Dicks, best new adventure ever.
I didn't read all of them. I barely read any of them, but man, that one stuck with me. Like I remember, I had chills reading that book.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
Time Worm Exodus. Yeah. I mean, he was the go-to. So when the TV movie came out and they started the 8th Doctor range of books, what's the first one? The 8 Doctors by Terrance Dicks.
Yeah.
Unless you count Gary Russell's novelization of the film, which
Terrance Dicks wouldn't have gone anywhere near because he went, to the very end, he was decrying that movie as terrible, which I quite.
Oh, interesting.
He did. Yeah. No, yeah. He had. I
didn't know that.
He had a particular hate for the 8th Doctor movie.
Mm-hmm. Why? What was the particulars of that? Like, what was the reason?
He thought it was bleep.
Don't do
gotcha.
the voice. Yeah, it was. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, and then as Warren alluded to earlier, I mean, 5 doctors. You know, Robert Holmes damn near died trying to write that thing. Not really, but sort of. He couldn't wrap his head around it, and in comes Terrance Dicks, and he's like, "Okay, I got this.
Yeah.
I got you, Bobby."
Yeah, and he most certainly got this.
It's effortless. I mean, maybe it was a case of like, I'm really working hard to make this look effortless. I don't think so. I think that as many times as he made like writing those novelizations effortless, 5 doctors swoops in. Okay, well, we do cameos here, we do this here, we do this here. We write in stuff as we get them. Like the 5 doctors is just a perfect celebration.
And then having a course correct once Tom Baker's announced. Once Tom Baker's involvement was confirmed as not happening.
Yeah, and like,
well, there's a saying in editing where you're doing it right if the audience can't tell what you're doing, and then he was a perfect example of that. Like because you don't notice anything showy, that's why it's good.
Yeah. Horror. I mean, we'll get to script editing days, but like Horror Fang Rock, he writes the vampire kill. I can't remember what the working title was right now. The story that became State of Decay in season 18. It's originally for season 15, but the BBC thought, wait a second, we can't do this because we're doing a proper Dracula thing on BBC, and this is going to be seen as a mock-up. Can you put something together quick? So Terrance Dicks sits down and writes one of the greatest Doctor Who stories of all time in Horror Fang Rock as basically a fill-in, which is insane.
Well, and then even beyond that, you've got Bob Holmes, who wrote the Sontarans originally, and there's the introduction of the whole Sontaran Rootin thing, and here's Dicks to swoop in and bring in the Rootin side of things.
Exactly.
Bring them back. Bring back those Rootins. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, Terrance Dicks sort of comes into Doctor Who towards the end of season 6 when Derek Sherwin and Peter Bryant are feeling overwhelmed by turning down all these scripts for the rest of season 6, and they need some extra help. So
he came in from Crossroads.
Crossroads.
So he came in from a soap basically. So he's used to like rapid script development and all that.
Yeah, so that's what he was doing, and so he goes from like script editor to trying to save scripts to like bringing in Robert Holmes, which he did with the Crotons, and Mac Hulk, of course, which he writes the War Games with. I mean, the War Games. Like, imagine that you come in, hey, can you script edit a show? By the way, can you also write a 10-part story to wrap up the entire era? Is that cool with you? A
10-part story to cover the fact they had no scripts for those 10 episodes, which would have otherwise been 2 or 3 stories.
Yeah. I think, Terrance Dicks has always sort of been a very publicly humble person. Perhaps he was different in private, sort of thinking, I was pretty good. But I feel like his coming around on the War Games, because for years before people perhaps even saw it, on VHS or DVD, he was sort of saying, "Oh, it's too long. Like the first episodes are right and the last episodes are right, but the middle 8 are the ones that just go on forever." And I think, as Paul Cornell said in his newsletter about him, is that I think in recent years, because of there's a lot of podcast love, I think, for the War Games. There's a whole bunch of podcasts that have sort of jumped on saying, "Wait a second, this thing is actually brilliant."
I'm sure the Who Against Guns things helped there.
Yeah, and he's come around, and he came around on it, and being I'm sure he already knew that by the time he was on our live show at Gallifrey 1 in 2014. But like being able to tell him that and have the audience roar with approval that the War Games is actually really, really good. I think I loved how I think people sort of turned around. I think his impression perhaps of how people thought of his actual TV work. Because as we started off this conversation with talking about his Target novelizations, but I mean he learned Doctor Who because he worked on it for like 5 or 6 years before he even started to pick up the books. So
yeah, I mean he was instrumental with Letts as far as like developing where the Third Doctor's era went, and because it was Sherwin, wasn't it? Who's like, let's set this on Earth so people can relate.
Yeah,
and Dix and Letts were like, good idea, but short lived. We got to change that.
Yeah, so they did. They did the unit family. I mean, I like season 7. It's probably my favorite John Pertwee season. But what it does is that Dix and Letts just instill that formula of Doctor Who. Like, they made it the big success that it was. Let's face it, Doctor Who was near to death in season 6. They basically said, well, we want to replace it. We don't have a good idea, so let's make Doctor Who again for another year, I guess, and see where it goes. They make season 7. It's a success. Not a huge success. I mean, it improved the ratings and stuff, but I think they're only about 8 million or something like that. But then Dicks and Letts made it a show that became basically a staple.
After season 7, as my voice starts to go.
Yeah.
So season 7, a good chunk of it was kind of taken care of before they got on the scene. But season 8, they bring in the Master for every story. They introduce this arch nemesis, and then they kick in their whole Holmes Moriarty thing, and it pays off because the Master is, still like super crazy popular, and it's gone through however many iterations up to Missy, and that's them.
That's them.
And they weren't planning for that to be a big deal. Like, really, they just kind of did it and saw where it went. I'm assuming.
I don't know. I think
they were hoping for it to be a big deal.
The fact that they put the Master in every story that season and like had him like in the opening press call, like as basically
but you couldn't really predict that. I mean, that could have been a mechanoid where this is the next dollar. So maybe not.
Yeah, well, they knew what they were doing though. They knew what they were doing, and and the amount of Terrance Dicks never was credited for a story in the time that he was script editor, but you could tell that he did an uncredited rewrite, for instance, on Seeds of Death. Like, basically, episodes 3 through 6 are Terrance Dicks. I love that story. It's such a rollicking runaround that you can kind of see the seeds, no pun intended, of like the War Games being such a great runaround in the Seeds of Death. He rewrote Monster of Peladon. The amount that he complained about Bob Baker and Dave Martin, I'm amazed that he kept getting them back, given how much he had to complain about and basically tone them down and evereverything. But
his complaint wasn't against Baker and Martin so much as the scope of what they wrote, and then the real life limitations of TV production and where the two have to meet.
Yeah, he knew
especially TV production of the time.
Yeah, he knew exactly how much imagination could be achieved, basically, and that's why I think Horror Fang Rock is such a success, because he realizes the budget of Doctor Who. He realizes that they need this thing in a hurry, and that they had
to relocate to Birmingham before,
and they really had to get to Birmingham. So, I'll just set it all in a lighthouse. And it's just perfect. It is perfect. Like that is the sign of an experienced and knowledgeable and perfect Doctor Who writer. He knows exactly how to write Doctor Who and like the perfect budget for it. Like, without even being part of the program. It's essentially
a bottle episode, right? I mean,
it's all in the lighthouse.
And sometimes bottle episodes can be fantastic if they're done right.
They are. And it was. I love State of Decay. That finally comes out. The State of Decay is intriguing because he and Chris Bidmead didn't come to blows, but they certainly came to a disagreement over a large portion of that. And there's some dialogue that gets in there that is as Bidmead, like the bits about continental shift that Terrance Dicks decried. I remember on the commentary, but
they're still in the book, though.
It's still in the book, of course, because he wrote the book. But you could sort of tell that this was a Terrance Dicks script. Up until then, it was very Leisure Hive and Megaloss were very bare bones, science heavy and stuff. But then we get this little flourish of sort of classic Doctor Who coming in State of Decay, because it's Terrance Dicks writing that. And it's lovely.
The day, was it Monday? It was Monday this past week when his death was announced. Mm-hmm. And I woke up in the morning, checked Twitter, and I'm like, holy crap. But yeah, that evening, Sukat and I were like, we're going to have, as how many thousands or millions of people across the world did. We're like, yeah, we need to watch some Terrance Dicks. And the first two that come to my mind are Horror Fang Rock and State of Decay. And we ended up watching State of Decay. Mm-hmm. And, just breathing it in. It's awesome. I mean, I love the characters. The performances for Akon and Camilla and Nazargo are just so blah. It's there's a massive cheese factor to that story that works.
Right. Vampires.
It's more in the performance and the direction than anything else. Hey, you got Stuart Fell, the speaking role. But no, that ended up being our choice, and I don't regret it, because I mean, we haven't yet gotten to all the stuff he's written. We've alluded to little bits here and there, but no, when I think of the best stuff that I would ever want to watch from him, it'd be those 2 and 5 Doctors for sure.
Yeah,
it's funny how the horror ones are your go-tos, because he's not specifically a horror guy. He could do pretty much anything with anything.
He did, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, he did, but mostly because I'm not a fan of Brandon Morbius. But another horror one, of course.
That's mostly a production thing for me. It's nothing to do with the script. Although perhaps he wasn't a fan of the script either. The fact that the famous Bland pseudonym thing. I love that his email address contained Robin Bland in it. The fact that he was still laughing about that was amusing to me.
Yeah, how many decades later?
Yeah. But I mean,
sorry, Bland Robin apparently was part of his email address.
Yeah, but his approachability with prose and script writing, like he said so much with so few words. I love that reading his novelizations. Some might say, well, he didn't change much. Well, it's a novelization of a TV show.
Yeah.
He didn't have to change much. He doesn't really work around stuff. Sometimes he puts stuff in. I think he put back in, I think, the android invasion stuff that they never shot, and there's a couple explanations here and there about other things that perhaps didn't make it to screen. So he did expand upon it. But what I loved about his novelizations is that the dialogue was often left untouched. And so if you've watched the stories as much as I had,
that's true. Yeah,
reading the novelizations was like instantly you're transplanted back into the story as you're watching it on television, and you realize that the novelizations were the DVD and VHS releases of the day. There are ways to re-experience the TV shows that you had seen just once, possibly, but now you were watching them again. So why bother changing it? Why not make it a representation of the story that you actually saw? And he managed to do that, and yet make it fresh and vivid and bold and fun to read. And like you, Warren, I read the covers off of some of those, especially the pinnacle novelizations that were at my
5 Doctors.
My
I just ruined. And people forget, people who are not ancient like we are, that back in the day, you couldn't get these VHSs. You had to tape it, if you were lucky, off of PBS, maybe. Well, and if you didn't, this is all you had.
Yeah, because those of us who had it on PBS stations were lucky. Those in Britain had nothing of the sort.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, like speaking of like the vivid imagery and all that kind of stuff, I have a very distinct memory of being age whatever, reading the Caves of Androzani novelization, and the scene where it's Grelper and Stotts, whatever, when they're like, when Grelper's on his back and they're like at the cliff edge and whatnot. I'm just reading that, and I have this super clear image in my brain of how it was actually, and how Harper shot it, and how it was reflected in the book. It was just so spot on.
Yeah.
But even so, you alluded to you spoke of the things that he couldn't or wouldn't or shouldn't change in novelizations because it's a novelization of an existing thing. It's not his own thing in most cases, but he still made his mark on the books with wheezing, groaning sound, and like all the descriptors that he used that weren't in scripts or couldn't be conveyed through a TV medium. Pleasant, round open face or pleasant open face, whatever it was.
For Peter Davison, yeah.
Yeah, like just these little things that have stuck in the brains of people of a certain age like us.
Yeah, and it was his. The Making of Doctor Who was a book that he co-wrote with Malcolm Hulke in '72, and it came out again in '76 as a reprint, which like taught a lot of people like, oh, this is how they make TV. Like this is like the Doctor Who Confidential novelization, essentially, and it was in that he came out with basically the description of Doctor Who. And that is where the famous quote, "Never cruel or cowardly." I mean, God, in 4 words, that man puts down basically the ethos of Doctor Who: never cruel or cowardly. I love that Stephen Moffat works that into to Listen and Day of the Doctor, which is a testament to how the outpouring. We've linked to a great thing in the New Statesman for Rob Sherman. He actually tweeted it out probably late in the middle of the night for him, in the late evening for me. His tribute to Terrance Dicks about how when he interviewed him when he was like 14 or something, and he had this terrible stammer, and like Terrance Dicks was like just very, very appreciative of his time, just like very patient, just sort of helping get through it and stuff, and then like sort of talk to him as a writer, which at the time like meant so much to Rob, being sort of an enterprising writer on his own, being sort of like I just was called a writer by Terrance Dicks, who was like my favorite writer ever. It meant a lot to him. It meant a lot to a lot of people. Seeing the shelfies coming out with all the people taking pictures of their dog-eared, beaten up Target novelizations, most of which were written by Terrance Dicks. Yeah, he had such a legacy across all of Doctor Who, and all of like people outside of Doctor Who were even talking about his legacy. So it was, as always, it's sad to lose these titans of the show that we hold so dear, but it's so wonderful to see the celebration, I think, of their work, and it is through that Terrance Dicks' work will live on forever and ever and ever. Ready to outsit eternity. He is indomitable, really.
It's a Holmes line. You spoke earlier on of him being on the Gallifrey One live show from 2014. How was that? 5.5, almost 6 years ago.
I know.
Anyway, from 2014, and not for the first time when we learned that he was going to be up there with us. I know all of us were like giddy doesn't begin to describe it. Like just how, was it 5.5 years ago? So 40 something and almost 40 something middle-aged dudes and this almost mythical figure from our childhood is like, he's gonna be on stage with you guys, and we just turn into like simpering babies, like like incredulous.
Mm-hmm. I'll henceforth refer to myself as a simpering baby, as so many others have previously.
Yeah, and even after the fact, I remember one of our friends remarking how basically everything Dick said on stage was like a recycled story, because I get the impression he does recycle a lot of stuff. Like if you think back to DVD commentaries, how many times does he talk about Pertwee's Bouffant, for example? Whether it's a Pertwee story or not.
Listen, Stephen can go on about Capaldi's Bouffant. I'm pretty sure one of the greatest Doctor Who writers of all time can say whatever he wants about Pertwee's.
Well, I'd give it more leeway to Terrance Dicks than I would to Stephen.
Yeah, so would I.
But
I agree.
But I don't know how this got to do a me bashing thing, but okay, go on.
Yeah, you earned it. Anyway, but despite the thing, like I know I was sat there. I don't care. The guy could read the damn phone book. I don't care. I'm going to listen to him and enjoy what he does and what he says. And
he could write the damn phone book and I'd read it.
Yeah.
True.
It had a pleasant open 0 at the bottom of the tile pad.
That's terrible.
That is terrible.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
But the point being is it's still like it doesn't matter, whatever he says or anything, like up on stage with Terrance Dicks, that is my, like I've said this before for any number of things we've had the privilege of experiencing by doing this silly little podcast thing. The telling my 12-year-old self that this is something that is going to happen, and it's not like it's not like I sat there and drank beer and swapped stories all night or something with a guy who was 15 minutes on stage, but still, like that's a life highlight.
Mm-hmm. Me too. I remember that show.
Agreed.
Yeah, it was a life highlight to be able to read and enjoy the works of Terrance Dicks. I hope we did some sort of shambling tribute to him here in our imitable style, as we usually do. Other news. Yes, because other Doctor Who stuff happens. I mean, Doctor Who goes on and on because of Terrance Dicks. For instance, a show that he never worked on. Season 26 is coming to Blu-ray. The first Sylvester McCoy season coming to Blu-ray. At the very I want to say ambitious release date of December 23rd, 2 days before Christmas. This is slated to come out. I feel like this is going to be delayed. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that it might not be the date that's going to come out on. They've already delayed the Trial of a Time Lord season 23 Blu-ray set by a couple weeks in the UK. I feel like this one is ripe for bumping. But anyway, yeah, season 26 coming to Blu-ray with rare restored extended cuts of the VHS version of Fenric, as well as the special edition, the DVD version. The Battlefield VHS extended version is coming to. Also, work print
of Ghostlight
for Ghostlight, because the original materials of that do not exist, sadly. A whole bunch of behind the sofa stuff with Sylvester and Sophie, plus Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton, Annika Wills, and then this is cool. The Jodie Whittaker era writers with Pete McTighe and Joy Wilkinson will be there. There's a big documentary called Showman: The Life of John Nathan Turner, which will be intriguing. A brand new documentary about the making of Curse of Fenric. I love making up documentaries. Matthew Sweet interviews Sophia Aldred. Yes, Chris?
I was going to say for the making of, not that they wouldn't have it happen anyway, but I'm glad to see Ian Briggs being involved, having listened to his 3-part Who's Round.
Yes.
And just, getting his perspective as the writer.
It's sort of following on from the season 18 Writers' Room documentary. The writers from Below Stories, Ben Aronovich, Mark Platt, Ian Briggs, Rona Monroe, and Andrew Cartmel discuss their work there. There's a documentary on the Destroyer, the
best creature ever.
Oh my God, such a great creature. Convention footage, archive treats, unseen studio footage, raw studio footage. 7-disc set for a 14-episode season. It's going to be quite something.
That's nuts. I mean, you have three versions of Battlefield, and 3 versions of Fenric, and 2 versions of Ghostlight. So you need a lot of discs. But yeah, 4 stories, 14 episodes, and 7 discs. Like that just seems like an equation that doesn't add up.
I know, but it does.
You'll note how silent I've been through this entire process.
I know, Warren. The launch video was as a short film called The Promise, written and directed by Pete McTighe. How about new Doctor Who showrunner Pete McTighe having taken over from Chris Chibnall during production, if you believe the rumors, which you should not. But he did this, and Lee Binding at T-Lady Design did the graphic once again, the raw graphic. He posted on his Facebook page. Links in the show notes at radiofreeskaro.com. So wow, what a year for Blu-rays. What we get 4? The 4 this in 2019, season 18, 10, 23, and 26. So we'll get it in 2020 here in North America. But
when you talk to was it Chapman, Chris Chapman, whoever it was who mentioned their Stalin-esque 5-year plan.
Yeah, it was Chris Chapman.
All this stuff on Blu-ray. So if they're hitting 4 or 5 a year, that's kind of what they need. So,
yep, I'm impressed. I like it. So I know
my wallet is not, but
I know one of our fans asked if I would change my opinion now that it's in Blu-ray. I'm like, nope, not a chance.
I know. There's also a BFI event, as there often is a screening with close to the release of these, and there's going to be one on November 23rd. I wonder what day that is. With Sophie Aldred and Andrew Cartmel watching. I am assuming that it's going to be the Curse of Fenric, I believe.
It is.
Yeah, so tickets are on sale to BFI members on the September 17th, and then the 24th for everyone else for the event on the 23rd.
They haven't announced which version of Fenric is going to be screened.
Good point. Yeah,
dealer's choice. You can pick any one from random, but yeah,
that's true. There are 3 different versions of it, but so Blu-ray news. We're a big fan of. We're a big fan of the work that goes behind the production of these Blu-rays, Warren. I think we can all agree on, not necessarily the content, which they are restoring. How's that sound? Is that
you don't have to please me. Plenty of people like this stuff, and that's great. It's just not for me.
I know.
One day, Warren, maybe. I know it won't happen, but maybe.
I don't understand how you guys say, I know you like ice cream, but really this broccoli is what you should have. No. Maybe I just don't want broccoli.
Well, I don't know. 26 is just, I just adore it so much.
It's like reverse gatekeeping.
Back when Timudwup, as you would call it, Stephen, the Minute Doctor Who podcast, back when that was the thing, and Luke ran the mastermind events for it. I was supposed to be the next up for about 9 years. That and it never happened. But my specialist subject was going to be season 26.
Oh well, maybe you should look back on that. Maybe you should. Maybe now's the time. I think just enough time.
do a marketing tie-in with the Blu-ray release. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Hey, fictitious awards. It's been a while since we've been able to talk about these, but the Welshies, the Welsh BAFTAs, the nominations, the finalists, we should say, list came out, and Doctor Who's up for 4 Welshies: Best Actress, that being Jodie Whittaker, who plays the title character of Doctor Who. Production design for Arwa Wynne-Jones, who's been nominated for 7 of them now. Special and visual effects, which, yes, definitely, and for television drama. So, yeah, D-Neg was, visual effects on that. As we'll see in the commentary for the Ghost Monument coming up very shortly here, is superb. So, congratulations to all the finalists. This will be handed out sometime in later. The future. I don't know when.
It's an honor just to be nominated, they say.
Yeah, sure it is. It's September now, so Edmonton Expo is coming up. Edmonton Expo was supposed to come out with their schedule this week. They did not. So we know that Christopher Eccleston is appearing on the Saturday at Edmonton Expo, but we still don't know if he's actually doing a panel or not. He'll be at New York Comic Con, who has also been sort of slowly releasing their schedule over the course of the past week and announcing panels and stuff. Still don't know if there's going to be a Doctor Who panel, but there's going to be a Christopher Eccleston panel, and there is going to be a New York Comic Con exclusive Funko Pop for Sim Shaw, or Tim Shaw, if you will. Funko Pop.
I can't get excited about Tim Shaw. I just can't do it.
Kind of looks. Well, if you like Funko Pops.
Let's see. I've got a War Doctor 12, Missy 13, and 4 Funko. I don't think Tim Shaw belongs in that group.
You are very particular about who joins your group of Funkos. Is that what you're saying?
You have a Jodie Whittaker Funko, and Tim Shaw doesn't belong?
Yeah, he doesn't belong. He's of lesser stock. Oh, let's put it that way.
All right.
Yeah. Well, if you think Tim Shaw or Sim Shaw is up to the task, you can get him. You can get him at New York Comic Con if indeed you are going. I do hope that Doctor Who does come to New York Comic Con because, promoting your show is good. And I think that promoting your show at New York Comic Con would be pretty neat. Just saying. Yeah.
Got to introduce new showrunner.
What a broad hint you've just given.
Got to introduce new showrunner Pete McTighe somehow, right?
Exactly. And the last bit of news, I suppose, next Sunday. So the Quiz of Rassilon is a monthly pub quiz that takes place in the United Kingdom, and we were asked to submit a round of questions, and we were eventually steered down to, hey, why don't you do a set of questions on a Peter Davison story? And so naturally, we went with the Caves of Androzani. So that is very much on brand. So if you're going to go next week, you can go and check out. There's going to be a quiz on Series 8, Robot of Sherwood. Androzani is by us, City of Death, Clara Oswald. Ed Russell will be there as well. It should be a fun time. So we won't do it next week because by the time this episode comes out, it'll actually should be just before the quiz goes out. But the week after that, we'll read out the questions for Chris and Warren, perhaps, and you listeners will see if you get them right. So that should be fun. I've never been to a pub quiz. Chris, did you go to pub quizzes when you lived over there?
All the time.
Yeah.
Last time I was in Vancouver, I went to several actually and dragged Warren along to a few, and we won one of them.
Oh, wow!
Yes, we did.
Well done. Yeah. Well, you can go to the Quiz of Rassilon and see if you can win that one next Sunday. So. All right, that's it, everyone. After the short break, dip back into the Series 11 commentaries. Shannon Dohar guests while we watch The Ghost Monument. Welcome back, everyone. It's time for episode 2 of Series 11, The Ghost Monument, and our Series 11 commentary series. That's a lot of series. Sorry, everyone's iPhone. And also, we are joined today by our good friend Shannon Dohar. Hello, Shannon.
Hello there, gents.
You've been you of course you're on Deeper Cuts, the music podcast with Graham. You've been sort of like the unofficial second co-host for Reality Bomb live shows over the years.
I step in when they need me.
Yep, you are the off the bench, so to speak, and you did such a great job at moderating the commentaries for Who Against Guns last year.
Thank you.
Yeah, but what I noticed is that, everyone was talking, and so you were there to sort of interject whenever things got quiet, but it never got quiet. And I said this about Sage too, is that I felt bad for both you and Sage because you were on commentaries that you were never allowed to speak in, really. So now is your chance. This is your time, Shannon.
Well, I can make up for it. Yeah, I had to keep the cat herding to be a priority for Who Against Guns, but now that's not my problem, so I can just go on and on.
Exactly.
We are unhurtable.
Now you can be one of the cats.
Exactly. The reins are off. You are free to go. But don't go away yet. We have to watch this episode first. We get to watch this episode first. Because you chose this one. Why did you choose this one out of all the rest?
A couple of reasons. One, I think that this is when Sagan Akinola's score started to get to me. I love the kind of Firefly vibe of the whole thing, and I think everybody gets something to do. It's such a great team building episode, and it's just a fun romp.
It is. I think so too, and it looks gorgeous. As I'm sure you will agree with me, dear listener, as we watch it here. So please gather your legally purchased North American Blu-rays, because it's the only way you're going to be able to watch this with us and remain in sync. I'm sorry. We have more frames than you do, UK. So you've queued it up to the Ghost Monument, Episode 2. So here we go. Begin to press play in 3, 2, 1, play.
Steven, you keep saying this is your favorite. Is that still holding true?
Yeah, I watched it earlier today, and boy, it was really, really good. And hey, here's the first time we get to see this, the opening titles.
Yep, go Ben Pickles.
Mm-hmm.
This is such a great version of the theme tune, too. It really sings.
I like when the bass drops. Actually, it really sings at the end of Demons of the Punjab.
Hey.
Most certainly does. It's so good.
Mark Tonderai, probably the MVP of this episode.
Yeah.
This was a great climax, too, or cliffhanger, as it were. I'm like, they haven't? Well, they probably have done this before, but I don't care. It really works for a first episode.
Well, it's the infinite improbability drive.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I sort of knew that this was going to be the way they would get out of it at the end of the last episode. But
well, here are your gold stars, boys.
Thank you very much. I can write Doctor Who. What's so hard about that?
Okay.
Hey, if Pip and Jane Baker can do it.
Anyone can.
It's such a great focus on their eyes in this whole segment, and I love that the first person that he sees is Graham.
Specifically Graham.
How like just to share the disorientation of the characters for the first little bit, the camera just doesn't stop; it just wobbles.
Wobbles, the handheldness of it all.
Yeah, like on purpose, obviously.
Yeah. Mark Tonderai, who directed this and Rosa, actually also was the B camera operator. Like he actually shot a lot. Like I think he does that a lot for his own stuff, but he shot some of the actual stuff itself. It's amazing how rare that is for directors to actually do their own camera work. Because you'd think it would just be easier that way. I'll get out of my way. I know what I want.
I can do this myself. I went to college for this.
Exactly. Like who? Robert Rodriguez. Didn't he also shoot all of his stuff too?
And edited it all. Yeah.
Shot, chopped, and scored. Yeah.
And wrote and music. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Soderbergh does, and Hyams does as well.
Who's Hyams?
Oh, Peter Hyams, who's now dead, actually. But for the longest time, he would shoot his own movies.
Oh, really? Like what,
he was
Schindler's List?
the DOP.
Or?
No, not Schindler's. Oh, for God's sakes. 2010, for one. A lot of 80s stuff, and the 90s stuff, too. And Soderbergh shoots all his own movies, and always has, I think.
Well, Schindler's List came out in the 90s, Warren, so
That is enough. That is enough.
Okay.
2010 is an underrated film.
Yes, it is. Stephen, be quiet. Chris is right. 2010 is just not 2001. That's why people go, it's not. Well, so what? It's a good sci-fi movie. The end.
And it's a completely different story. I mean, yeah, it builds off the thing, but still.
And has National Treasure John Lithgow. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, the best.
Who in the book is a gay man, and you never see that surprise in the movie.
Mm.
The first 10 minutes of this episode are
this shot. This
is 2 minutes solid right here. Oh God, I love this sequence.
It connects right up to the disorientation, and that you're seeing it all through Yaz's eyes, and she's trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah, like she's on the spaceship. Like she's never been on a spaceship before, and this is her first experience.
She doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah.
What if she wants to arrest everybody?
Yeah, we don't really see her police instincts come in that much here, do we?
Well, she's still like a trainee.
Well,
she's more of a cop than Perry was a botanist. I'll tell you that right now.
She was also still in school for botany. She's more of a cop than Mel was a computer programmer.
There we go. Basically, everybody's still in school because it's a good way for the writers to go, look how clever they are, but we'll never have to prove it.
Like, this is the cutaway here. Or no, maybe there's another one. They do a couple cutaways, which is kind of a shame in a way because it does break up the flow, I suppose, or perhaps the novelty of the fact that this is just one big giant shot. Like, I just feel like this is Jodie's Doctor taking charge. Like I've often said about how episodes 2 of a new Doctor are the ones where, like, okay, this is the Doctor because we've dispensed with all the sort of showiness of the regeneration crisis and everything like that. Like, this is just the first proper episode where the Doctor is the Doctor, and I just love how she is taking control in her first 5 minutes of this.
No, they do such a great job of laying down the ground rules of the plot too, without it getting too explainy. Mm-hmm. And to your point, Stephen, that 13 is just immediately in the mix and taking charge and throwing the rest of the ship aboard. Who needs it?
Yeah, let's just jettison it. Yeah, I could do it to Romana's room. I'll do it here.
I love how they actually show the back of the ship being jettisoned away.
That was such a gorgeous shot.
You would never see that before.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, look
that
at
is
this.
a great shot.
That spaceship's not there. I'll point that out right now. That spaceship.
It's a
really
fake spaceship.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Like, it's stunning to think about how.
Did the real spaceship get damaged like the buses on their way to Dubai?
They actually built a live spaceship and had it transported. God, how far television and indeed Doctor Who has come in the 13 odd years since it came back. This is staggering. I mean, it takes flying to South Africa to do it, but I also like weird control panels. Those are always fun. That sort of look like opaque bits of glass on the wall.
Yeah, and it has such a gritty energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's so lived in, and it's so clear that this lone man has been aboard this ship for God knows how long. He's all he's got in there.
God, it must stink. It must.
And the world.
That's Adric's room bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably taken some turns.
Plus, if he's here by himself, he's usually in his underwear. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, come on. I work from home. I know what my work outfit is.
They caught him on a good day. Yeah.
He probably heard them coming. He's like, "Oh God, I got to put my jumpsuit on."
And don't forget that actor whose name I can't remember.
Sean Dooley. Sean Dooley.
Yeah, was the one that shot that silhouette backlit whatever Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
Sundown
picture
it's such
thing.
a spectacular image.
It's one of my watch faces.
I legitimately thought that was like a drawing or some artwork. Like it just felt like, okay, this is just too perfect a shot to actually be real. So it's just a silhouette. Yeah, I could see they maybe like sort of rotoscoped around. No, it's an actual shot on an iPhone.
I gotta tell you, it looks great on my watch.
Yeah,
it really does. It's just perfect. She's standing there right below her is the time. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it's my computer wallpaper and my phone wallpaper.
Oh, trailer shot. I think half the shots in that first trailer are probably from this episode.
I think you are correct.
Yeah. What if they don't want to go home?
I like that. Yeah, she's in charge, but she's also like kind of knocked for six because the TARDIS is nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
So she's coping with that too, which is kind of cool.
And this was certainly not the plan. She was not anticipating these three to kick around with her.
No.
And she had so much compassion in the first episode of the series that that it's just kind of killing her that she's put these folks in danger without them like being able to agree to it.
Which is a nice switch up from Capaldi's early days.
Yeah.
Where he had no compassion whatsoever.
Were these two in Coronation Street, Chris? Do you remember?
Jeez. No.
No.
No? Isn't that
it's a good fallback
or something?
Yeah, it is. Were they in the bill? Were they in Casualty?
Probably.
Yeah.
Isn't that like where every actor gets their start?
You have to. You get out of...
The bill is still around, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. No, they canceled that.
No, Bill got...
27
went off the air
seasons.
a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I was
going to say, when did it start? Like the 70s?
Wow. No, 80s, I think. But I know what.
That cloud build right there is just... It's just stunning.
I know.
And I'm betting that's not even CG. That's just
I was just wondering that. I was wondering, like, is that cloud CG? Did they put that in there? Because it just looks so intentional.
I bet you it isn't, because I mean, I could be proven way wrong here, but it's just like if it's CG, you can always kind of tell because it's always just a little too arty, right? And not just
I think
because people can't help themselves. They're artists. They're going to make it look nicer.
Yeah, I think those are real cloud. Oddly enough, we don't see the three suns ever. We just assume that they're up there. So
this reminds me, by the way, of a funny tweet. Somebody put it up that said, Gallifrey deserved to die. They have two sons and they live in a fishbowl. What the hell are they thinking? And then somebody jumps in on my thing and goes, I'm not aware they've ever two sons as canon. I'm like, you're kind of
come on
there, buddy.
Look, Warren, it's the Psychic Circus.
No, this is way better because it's not the Psychic Circus.
That was my first thought too when I saw this. Hey there, folks.
Yes. What better way to introduce us to a new doctor and new companions than to drag something from the depths of time back in?
Damn right.
Especially the McCoy era.
Well, it's very important to keep all these old cranky fans happy, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, woe betide you.
One thing that's always that I've noticed throughout the run of this thing is people get a lot of things attached to themselves without knowing throughout the run of this whole series.
Well, but it's an interesting solution to the fact that, if she had her TARDIS, it wouldn't be a problem, but they have to get around it somehow because otherwise there's no translation.
Wearable tech, that's all it is.
Graham's remark about will people stop putting things inside me, though?
Yeah.
I love it.
That is pretty cool.
This guy is great.
He is. He really is.
He's just so utterly contemptuous of everyone.
Yeah, and the power pose, too, when they walk in.
Yeah.
Cannot be bothered.
He's not even real.
And of course he has a ponytail, because why wouldn't he?
I thought he actually looked familiar to me. Art Malik, I think is his name.
Yep.
Why does that name sound so familiar?
Right?
I think he's been in The Expanse. I'm pretty sure he has.
I don't.
He in the guest trailer too?
He was in the
be.
all three of the guest actors here were Well, I'm going to have to look him up now, aren't I?
I'm doing the exact same thing. I've seen him in something. I know it.
To the internet.
Well, he's balder than...
Oh, he's in The Living Daylights. So that's a thing. Which is underrated, by the way.
I enjoy that movie.
I always skip over all filmography. I'm not sure why. Oh, it's because he's the bad guy from True Lies. That's why.
Was he really? Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Man, I missed it the 863 times it aired on A&E back in the day.
And he was on.
It's no Shawshank Redemption, which is a great movie ruined by TBS.
He was on Holby City rather than the Bill or Casualty.
Oh well, one third of the Holy Trinity, I guess. I do like this.
Again, like the world building in this episode is just so. It's not too. It's not too belabored. It's all so subtle, but it just builds into something so kind of complete, cohesive.
Yeah. Like, they all look like humans, sure, but they don't know what a Moomin being is, which I think is hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I hope it shoots Moomins. That'd be cool. Also, before Art Malik gets too high on his horses, he was in Booty Call from 1997 as Ahmed, uncredited. So
uncredited.
That's after True Lies.
Maybe
I don't know what's going on there.
Maybe he negotiated for that. I don't know.
Sounds like he was doing somebody a favor.
Yeah, I think that's probably a safe bet.
Oh, he's in Jewel in the Crown all the way back when with Charles Dance. That's a thing.
I'm going to say right now they're drinking buddies. I have no idea, but I think I'd like it if they were drinking buddies.
Charles Dance and Art Malik?
Yeah, and every once in a while they get in just a pub-destroying fight, and then they make up again. I'm just creating a backstory for no particularly good reason.
I think you should. There it is. Here's the line I was talking about. He's such a jerk.
He really is. He's so smarmy.
Yeah, but not like, mustache twirlingly smarmy. It's just, it seems to come natural to him.
No, it's just like everybody's run into this. You walk in a room and there's somebody who's just really arrogant and legitimately is that reason.
Yeah.
He's arrogant because they can be. And you're just like, oh, I hate you.
It's like walking into a Radio Shack. Yeah.
This went from 4,000 people down to these two. Like, this guy just does not care.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of reminds me of Conrad Black. Like, smart dude, also a dick,
The entire planet has been made cruel. It's the point, I guess.
Is he talking about 2019?
Oh. Yes, seriously.
I do
she
love
has that line about it being a cruel race for a minute. I was like, are we still talking about Earth?
Yeah.
Or no kidding.
I also like the doctor's exasperation here at just not getting answers. I know you prefer to ignore me. Like, you get the impression that this guy, being the way he is, if this was still a male doctor, would he be ignoring her as much as he is?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
There's a certain casual sexism going on there.
It's a good thing he has a cigar for the end of the
episode. Just walks through her. Like,
yeah, it's kind of a jerk move.
Mm-hmm. Did anybody else, were they surprised when the TARDIS showed up here? As I was? Oh, okay. Well,
the amount she belabors the point? No.
Well,
I was
actually
kind of hoping that we would get another couple of episodes without the TARDIS, honestly. And
yeah,
that there
me
would
too.
be some way, like some other boat off the island, so to speak, that they would be able to hop.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a moment of like, oh, already, all right.
But at the end of this, when it shows up, you're like,
it's
magnificent.
Yeah.
It's magnificent.
There was that rumor going around before the series was broadcast that there would be no TARDIS at all.
Right.
Oh, we can always trust those rumors, of course.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been something else that was dramatically different from everything else that came before.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. It's coming up.
I love Graham's commitment to these sunglasses.
I know.
He's a real accessory man.
The hat, the sunglasses, yeah.
You got to combine those.
Oh, that'd be good.
I love that. I love that Tonderai shoots over Bradley Walsh's shoulder and then has to accommodate when he puts the sunglasses up like that. It's just such a unique shot. I really love this guy's directing. It's my favorite direction of the year.
Now, if I was one of the three people here listening to her, I'd be like, what the hell is a TARDIS really? You're just saying this word.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Does it stand for something? Like, what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
And even then, if she explains it, you're still not going to buy it until you see it.
No, of course not. Not for a second. It's an old police box.
There's a green one up in wherever that was. Yeah.
Exactly.
Here, there it is.
There
There's
it
the big
is.
line. There you go.
That's where we take a drink, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Whenever you see bits of the trailer.
Is there a scrunch drinking game? Because I think we'd all be drunk by now.
Oh, we'd be dead.
Yeah.
Dead on the floor.
I think this is a pretty scraunch light episode.
Yeah, I think it is pretty scrunch light, actually, when I think of it.
Haven't quite established the scraunch at this point.
Well, she goes pretty scrunch heavy in her first episode. So.
That's true.
I like we're just throwing this word around that up until 6 months ago, nobody had a clue what the hell they were talking about.
We're about to be pandered to here as the classic Doctor Who fans.
Oh, listen, who doesn't love it though?
I know.
So great. It's the perfect kind of Easter egg, and like it's not going to distract anybody. Who cares? It's just a cool thing she gets to do.
Yeah.
But those of us in the know get to scream about John Pertwee for a minute. It's the greatest.
Although Venusian nuns is a new twist on the lore.
But good.
I want to see what Venusian nuns look like.
Yeah.
I'm going to say they're gaseous. Just like cloaks or something.
They call them Cassius. Watch them bash this beat like a skull.
What the hell are you talking about?
That's Steven's freestyling.
That's
There
great.
you go.
Great.
Spoken
Just
word.
what the world needs.
Spoken word interpretations of LL Cool J songs. It's
You should be snapping your fingers and wear a beret at least. Come on.
oh, sure.
For some reason, she reminds me of Vasquez in Aliens.
Is that Sigourney
Yeah,
Weaver's
go
character?
on. Yeah. Haha. You're great. You're brilliant.
Oh.
What a stunning jape you've perpetrated.
I love an invisible threat that it requires no CGI and is life-threatening.
Super budget friendly.
Kind of a
Oh
Moffat-esque
no,
kind of
there's
thing.
monsters in the water. You
Yeah.
can't see them, but they'll kill you.
One of my personal favorites is Pyramids of Mars, where Sarah does a very convincing smack into an invisible wall.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's a sound effect that sells it. Wow.
Well, honestly, it's the invisible things, or the the ones that are supposed to be hiding or stuff like. But as you alluding to something else you were saying earlier, Warren, about like graphic designers making something too arty because that's what they do. They make things arty. Like something that's moving silently will be squelching a lot more than it should. You'll see eyelids blinking or something in other creature shots. So
Because you just want to add some English, and that's usually because the director goes, give it 10% more. Or
yeah,
whatever.
like we need to see something. Well, we can't. She just said we can't see what's in the water. So a lesser director or show would actually forego that and do a close-up shot of like a zoom in, and there'd be a bunch of weird moving around microscopic creatures. But no, we just take it as read. The water looks safe. It is not. Don't go in.
Less is usually where there's a great scene in Terminator 2 that James Cameron talks about in the commentary where instead of going through a whole bunch of CG nonsense, they just pan over to the wall, make a sound, and then it's another guy instead of the Terminator because he's imitating somebody. He's like, well, we've already seen him do this. You don't need to see it again. Like, why spend all that money and go to all that trouble?
Was James Cameron camera operator on that movie, or what was his function there?
Did he climb out from behind the director's chair and just like do it himself?
I don't think he directed that one.
The funny
I don't think
irony
he
of that is
directed
that James Cameron pretty much can and does do almost anything in his movies.
I don't think he directed that one.
So I guess you've been hoisted on your own petard, haven't you, Stephen?
Well, Ridley Scott directed Terminator too.
Oh,
so.
yes, of
Always
course.
just be quiet.
I want to point out that
Tony
Warren was
Scott.
eating his food earlier and had to unpause the mic to correct me about a director.
First of all, I'm going to correct you about unpausing. You don't unpause a mic, you unmute it.
Unmute it. Okay, there we are.
I like how you're dinner shaming me.
Yeah.
It is the dinner hour in Vancouver. There's nothing I can do about it.
Yes. I do like that we had that little almost had a moment there between Angstrom and Yaz, and then she shuts it right down. Like I at the time I thought, oh, she's getting a little overly familiar with Yaz, and then boom, okay, it's better now.
Well, and the loneliness of space has finally gotten to her. She's trying to make a human connection in spite of herself, but she remembers that it's not safe.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, these things ain't going to ship themselves.
Now I will say this about this scene, which I love, and I love the way it's shot. But the way that Space and that presumably BBC America broadcast it is that instead of the proper 2-to-1 aspect ratio that we saw here, this is a bugbear of mine. They zoomed it in. They basically cropped the image and zoomed it in. And so this shot here, for instance, of Shaw Dooley is just like give me some room, please. Do not crop the image.
Yeah, it's so claustrophobic.
It is, but it works in this aspect ratio. Like, God, they use that extra tiny percentage wider that they
it just goes to show that they'll never learn. Remember the old days when you have a 4:3 TV and people were like, I ain't paying for that, I need the whole screen.
This is going to be a long running theme of this commentary series, I imagine.
Dorks yelling about stuff nobody cares about. Yeah, that's about
but
right.
aspect ratios, damn it, it's upsetting.
I mean, I care about it too. Don't get me wrong, but
I feel like that's just a commentary theme. I don't know.
Yeah. What do you think about aspect ratios, Shannon? Do you have any insight on that?
I listen. I respect all of your life choices, but I cannot say that I care even a little bit about aspect ratios.
Also, I'd just like to point out how hypocritical we are, because we go on and on about aspect ratios here, but the minute we see something terribly flawed in old Doctor Who, we're like, oh, isn't it beautiful?
Yeah.
Look at how that CSO bleeds. Look at how the camera's interfered with and there's a gunshot. I love it. And I do genuinely love it.
It's a certain warmth to it, isn't it? Damn this glossy-looking, impressive-looking Doctor Who. God, throw a CSO fringe in there for crying out loud. Why isn't the
Just for
tube?
old time's sake.
Why isn't the tube cam rattling when you fire a machine gun? God.
Well, I mean,
I need a boom mic stat.
when I was watching
on,
Spider-Man, Spider-Man Far From Home had this opener that's deliberately cheeseball because it's students doing video, and this is a probably $200 million movie, and yet there's CSO fringe at the beginning, and I was like, yes, you could do anything else now, and I'm sold.
It's genius. It was a genius move.
It was great.
We never actually see the boat. There's no actual boat. I imagine that
just the CG boat.
The wide shot of the boat is just a CG, and we're just in a studio probably in Rothlock right now.
That would be the smart move, yeah.
Yeah. You don't need to see the boat. The boat's not the point.
Also, they got plenty of other things to spend money on later here, so.
Yeah. Like flying to South Africa and not having enough water, because they had to ration the water during this because there's a drought in South Africa for the 3 weeks that they were shooting here. This and Rosa.
How many piercings does Yaz have in that ear?
Is that a hypothetical? Oh, no, it actually is.
6?
If she wants to be a Bajoran, I don't see how you can call her on that.
Plum knackered.
We got the one reference to Yaz's family before we meet them later in the season. It is relatively tame when you listen to her talking about how her sister just wants her room. It's like, well, is that so bad?
Yeah.
I don't really know.
There's a mirror of the same shot at the opening of the episode right there.
Mm-hmm. And again, establishing the connection between these two.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not kind of Ryan's on board for it.
Graham gives a damn.
Yeah.
That rhymes.
I believe that's Graham Burke's motto, too.
Graham gives a damn. That's the title.
Kind of is his motto, actually.
It is.
It's not too far off.
What rhymes with Warren that means do not care?
Don't even start that. Just back away slowly from that one, my friend.
That one there is a little bit of a tiny bit heavy-handed, him explaining how the cigar works.
Yeah, it's a little Chekhov's cigar.
Chekhov's cigar, yeah.
Now, remember the 90s craze for cigars? Which doctor would be a cigar aficionado?
That was a thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was a stupid thing. I thought it was annoying, but pretentious as hell. But which doctor is? I think it would have to be Pertwee, wouldn't it?
Oh,
Pertwee and Colin Baker.
Yep. Colin Baker?
Yeah, Colin Baker strikes me as the type.
That feels right to me.
Yeah. Pertwee for sure. I could see him and Delgado trading stogies.
Oh, totally, yeah. In fact, I didn't know how to smoke at some point.
That might be a euphemism, too.
On screen, I'm pretty sure he did.
Oh, he certainly did in Mind of Evil, yeah, in the back of the limo, yeah. Yes, I know all the moments when cigars were smoked in Doctor Who. Then there's Lou Russell, proprietor of the...
Trailer shot, by the way.
Of the, the circus and Terror of the Autons.
Do you remember his Italian name?
It was always shocking to see smoking in Doctor Who.
We'd never see it now. Those damn PC animals. Show us more smoking in Doctor Who.
It's very important to die on that hill.
Yeah. Apart from Pierce.
This is where they save more money with some warehouse somewhere.
I mean, imagine everyone in Rosa probably would be smoking.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, but they wouldn't show it for a family show. Fascinating. That's become the one thing that has now become verboten. Sex, fine. Violence, sure. Smoking, whoa, 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 whoa.
I love a good laser bolt.
I know, me too.
That's such a cool shot too.
Coming through the circly door, circly door. Oh, trailer shot.
Circly door.
Yeah.
Never become an architect.
Could
So I'd like over here, Mr. Foreman, is a circly door.
Yeah.
And
what kind of a door are you talking about? Circly.
Yeah.
Like the polka dot door, but just one.
I'd like to see that in an office building, a polka dot door. Mm-hmm. Shannon, did you guys get the polka dot door, or is that purely Canadian?
I don't think we have a polka dot door.
Okay, it's a kid show from the 70s.
It was
I got nothing.
In bits of America because Erica watched it.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
I
the
did
northern.
get red green from your people. That did.
I'm sorry about
Your
that.
people. Whoa, whoa, whoa. He's from Hamilton.
And we have bequeathed upon you Schitt's Creek, so there is that.
Yeah,
that is true. No, I love
as if I have anything to do with it.
As a video game nerd, I do really enjoy this sentiment that Ryan has.
Yes, that he thinks he can do it, and no,
like, I know
not at
it's
all.
going to backfire. I know it's a terrible idea, but I have to admire the initiative.
I love the falsetto screaming that he does as he runs back.
Did he specifically mention Call of Duty?
He did.
Yes, He said, I've played Call of Duty.
Because as a fellow video game nerd, you can understand that game is so on rails that there's no way in hell you could ever fire it.
Oh, no, never. And also, like, who still plays Call of Duty? But I guess that's besides the point.
A lot of dude bros, I think.
Yeah.
But Ryan doesn't strike me as a dude bro. He should have been playing, like, Borderlands or something.
Yeah, that's true. I stopped playing Call of Duty after... Well, I played... Okay, let me go back. There's these two, I think 3 and 4, have this one character who's like this angry Brit with a giant... world-destroying mustache, and when he gets killed, I'm like, nope, I want nothing to do with this game unless the mustachio Brit is. But then the one after that has Kevin Spacey as like this evil guy. Oh. So if you save it at just the right point, and I have, you can murder him over and over and over again.
That feels good to me. I like that. I like that very much. No, these villains too. The
sniper bots,
something like Circly Door, but they have kind of a Halo energy. That might have been a better.
Oh. I like that these two care about each other, but they just refuse to admit it.
I'm curious about that tattoo on his neck, too.
Oh, yeah.
Wonder what's going on there.
I also like that the Doctor does not put up with his nonsense, Like, good on Jodie Whittaker's Doctor for being a lot more welcoming to people and stuff. But I do kind of like it sometimes. The Doctor, treats other people with contempt who are treating her with contempt.
Well, she just doesn't quite have... She does have limits to her patience.
Yeah.
If she didn't, then that would be pretty exhausting.
Uh-huh.
And like most doctors, she doesn't have a filter. Or has less of one.
Yeah. A little Capaldi-esque annoyance with humanity can go a long way.
Oh, Capaldi.
One of the things I love is his later. He's nice later on, but he's also like, Nardole, do something less irritating. Stuff like that is just gold. Or you, lady with the weird hair. What about that statue over there?
He mellows, but he's still himself. Like, don't get it twisted.
No, I'm not.
I sense some pangs of regret there, Shannon. That
I just miss him. I love Jody. I do. But I miss. I'm going through it every once in a while. You know, you lose your doctor.
Is he your doctor?
He is my modern Who doctor. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he was mine too, probably. But I like Matt Smith too. But yeah, I feel like I wanted one more year out of Capaldi. Yeah,
I mean, I've got, I feel a little bit like like I've gone against myself because I have an Alan Z tattoo, but at the end of the day, it's Capaldi.
Mm-hmm. Well, scrape it off, obviously. Get it removed.
All you do is cut
my foot off and start again.
Yeah.
You just add a comma and then add a swear, and you're good.
Yeah. There's obviously not a door there. Well, good editing. That is some good editing. There's a couple times.
And just the throwaway word of ominous. It's so clever.
Yeah, exactly. There's something ominous. You can't see the door that I just opened, but it is ominous. Because it's not there.
I have to say, if my favorite doctors, it's 11, but 13 is edging up there, man. Like, every time I see her do stuff, I'm like, she's just so damn cool as a doctor.
It's great.
And I appreciate like the lack of speechifying "I'm a hero" moments that which the series had.
Smith was the worst for that, honestly. I think.
Well,
that might more do with the writing than anything else.
Yeah, not his fault. It's not like, hey, I want a big giant speech here that I have to memorize. No.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as the type to be demanding big speeches.
No. But I think just the way the writing worked out, that was peak speech, and that he just happened to be the doctor where that was.
Yeah. But we haven't had that with Jodie that much. But I do kind of hope that we have few more hero moments in Series 12.
But I want moral outrage and not self-aggrandizement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could do with her getting angry a couple more times with like, more sustained energy.
She just reminds me of like a more dynamic Davison, and that's what I like about her doctor. Mm-hmm. And Davison had moral outrage down. Well, Baker did too, though, to be honest.
Oh, Baker did, certainly.
Yeah.
And actually, what am I saying? Pertwee was great at moral outrage.
She should be allowed to be angry. I get...
Right, exactly.
I get the impression that, oftentimes, female lead characters don't have the luxury to be fallible or be a buffoon yet a hero. All these things are open to the Doctor, thankfully. And yeah, you know what? Some pure righteous, whenever Capaldi or Smith, just teetered over the edge and oh, wow, he is really angry right now. And I'm kind of frightened. I would love to see that out of Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah, just that hint of danger and remembering that they're an alien and remembering that that you are really being invited into their world and that they can actually be kind of terrifying. This is, Time Lords can be a frightening crew when they want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And just to flip it around, she's great and she's funnier in Helen of all things Rosa, but I like more chances for her to do that too.
Yeah.
We've had 1 year.
That's true. Do everything now.
Yeah.
Yes. Hopefully many more. For her to do all sorts of things.
Do you think...
Some we haven't even thought of yet.
Yeah. Do you think, Shannon mostly, because the three of us will be on all these commentary episodes, do you think the three companions sort of hold her back and that, they obviously take away some screen time from her?
I think that's a part of it. Yeah, I think that's a part of it. I think they had a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that, obviously... some companions had more time and focus than others. And unfortunately, you could kind of see the two female presenting characters as getting a little bit less to do in this season. But I think that, again, they had so much to do. They had so much to establish. And Jodie's doctor does come through in every moment that they give her. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do wonder about the number of companions. I love all three of them. I'm glad that they're all three staying because I think it would have been a waste to spend an entire season setting up 4 leads and then to not see them through.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see what comes next. And I hope that it gives them all a little bit more of a chance to breathe. Now that, Graham and Ryan have worked through their stuff, they can putter around a little bit more.
With Yaz, perhaps. Maybe Yaz.
Yeah. Bring Yaz to the front a little bit more. Mm-hmm. That would be great.
I mean, it's rare for companions to last more than 2 years. So I'm wondering if the end is near for some or all of the Time Team for
I wonder about
13.
Graham, because his arc's done, and also he's an actor with a longer career,
a fairly notable
so maybe
career.
He's got more chances.
He's got
I could see him taking a step back and it just being the three of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's got that game show to host after all.
He does. I mean, they all have family, and really, actually, Graham and Ryan are now their own family. Really, let's face it. I don't know how much Ryan's father is going to feature in the next series, but they don't really have anyone else apart from each other. So I can't see them both staying on, or both. Maybe they either both stay on or they both leave. I can't imagine one would go or maybe Bradley Walsh should get killed off. But I don't think Doctor Who does that. I don't think Chris Chibnall would do that.
Yeah, I don't think this version of Doctor Who would kill off Bradley Walsh.
No.
Let's fridge him. Let's fridge Bradley.
Do it.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, I say that, but we did kick off with one, so.
We did.
Oh, true, yeah. Also, any of the three companions could get a job doing something else as a lead, so who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're all fantastic. I mean, they're going to have long careers.
Well, Yaz is what, 30-something?
31, I think she is.
She is?
Oh
wow.
My God.
That's
yeah. Apologies for the...
Bradley Walsh is legally dead, but appears to be 60-something.
Poor Bradley Walsh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Amanda Gill's 31, Tosin Cole 27, Bradley Walsh 59.
So,
a baby, a veritable baby.
Yeah. Apologies, listeners. This conversation might be happening again, or has happened in a previous commentary.
That's true.
We're recording this out of order.
Now here's the key. How old is Jodie? 35?
37.
37 now. 82.
Okay.
She's born. Same year as Matt Smith.
Oof.
Yeah, 82. This is where we're at right now.
I think Smith was no, Tennant must have been younger than me too, I think.
Yeah. Smith is the first. Matt Smith. Oh, this is a nice shot. Look at that. Nighttime with stuff in it.
Spooky.
Garlic.
Well, how old was Tennant when he took the role? That was what, 2007?
2005. He was 34.
Yeah. Because he's born 71.
Yeah.
Just a few months younger than you, Warren.
Yep. Just squeaking over. That's the whole reason right there.
Mm.
Don't they throw in something that we all assumed was A about Susan,
Yeah.
B was never paid off on at all?
Or coming. Would ever be referenced again.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even that it, needed to be called back with great connection to the canon and really mean anything in terms of history, but just maybe get a reference ever again.
Well,
on the other hand, I'm sure they're going, no matter what we say, those idiots on Tumblr are going to come up with a crazy idea, so we might as well just say whatever.
If it doesn't get paid off in this series, then fine. There are other series to come.
It might just be Chibnall's, what was it, Duck Pond? Was it the Duck Pond?
Oh, yeah. That's right.
No ducks in the duck pond.
Here we go. We see through.
Here it is, yeah. The Timeless Child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means nothing.
Which is fine, because, it's timeless, so they can bring it up again whenever they want.
Exactly.
But they even get a little theme tune.
I know. There's something there, which is...
If the music hadn't swelled, maybe it's Sagan Akinola's fault. If the music hadn't swelled.
And then
maybe this is the big arc of Series 12.
Well, that's it, yeah. Child. And then her anger, her, get out of my head.
She gets she seems so protective of whatever has just been brought up to mind.
Yeah. And I do like the standalone nature and, how this is very much a clean slate of both for the show and for the Doctor. But I quite enjoyed that little bit of like, there's a deeper, darker past going on here in this brand new Doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not that we need her to be legitimized as an actual doctor by referencing her past lives and such like that, but it is kind of neat just to see how the
No, but we did with that with Eccleston too. Like, well, nerds like us who watched all the old.
There's the
series.
three sons.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
There
there
we go.
are.
Like, I don't know about you, but I was, when the Daleks showed up, I'm like, yeah, you're just pining for the old stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean,
don't want to admit to it, but we are.
I admitted to it. I was very ready for there to be a Dalek. I just wanted a big bad that didn't have teeth involved.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, this Dalek was at least different. Not that this is a resolution commentary, but that Dalek was at least very different and very well executed in terms of how they played around with Dalek lore, I guess, or their anatomy and how they can actually have this thing on somebody's back.
The slow dread in Jodie's face when she turns that corner and doesn't see the TARDIS is just...
Mm-hmm. Did they keep her hair the same length the whole series?
Pretty much, yeah.
Warren, can you keep an eye on this through all the
it's important that I'm a bouffant expert that I am.
Thank you.
Actually, I think you've dropped the ball on this since you're the self-appointed bouffant expert.
No, I know. I did a lot with Capaldi last.
No, I was just going to say, this is like a reverse Capaldi. Because didn't she want to have her hair be even shorter? So maybe it'll...
I don't know. I mean, every time I see her like in these glamour shots, I'm going, oh, wow, hello.
What about the Series 12 stuff? Like, is she...
No, I think
she's got longer hair in the Series 12? Or the same one? Again?
It's pretty much the same. We're pretty much... we're in the John Nathan Turner era of costumes and hair at this point, in that they're exactly the same every single episode. Take that, villain from True Lies.
In a post 9/11 world, that is a very strange show to watch.
I have not watched it since I got rid of A&E, but enlightenment isn't the prize. Enlightenment is the choice.
That's enough.
I love that. No. Snap fingers. Done.
He's just like stroking a pillow and then snaps himself out of existence.
Yeah.
So weirdly villainy. I love it.
That is a big-ass jerk move. That's big jerk energy is what that is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Oh, that's another... At this point, I'm like, is that a trailer shot or is that a fan vid shot? Because I know I used it for a fan vid.
Well, the Yaz one was in here was a trailer. That's a hell of a find, that earring that you found in the thrift shop in Sheffield. You know.
Yeah, it's really.
She found that whole outfit there.
Very chic.
It would have been kind of cool to have that earring actually in the TARDIS, and the TARDIS gives her the earring. Because this whole outfit apparently existed somewhere in the north of England. Had to be cobbled together.
Yeah. I do love the idea of her just like digging through the thrift shop jewelry box and being like, this is the one I want.
Yeah.
I just want to know how she found all this crap in the first place. Like, all in one place.
Thrift shops are wonderful places.
Yeah.
True.
That wheezing groaning.
Oh, yeah.
It brings hope wherever it goes.
Warren, don't make me cry. It's too late.
Favorite line in all day of the Doctor. I love that bit so much.
It's so gorgeous.
I've actually got that I've got a Who album on my phone of pictures, and that's one of them. And the other is a Love and Monsters quote at the end.
It's this like might be the most emotional reaction between Doctor and TARDIS I think we've. You know, Matt Smith had a couple moments, obviously with Doctor's wife too, but this is just gorgeous. And of course the way it's shot.
Yeah.
I'd also like to point out that same album has Unworthy of the Diamond logo as the Diamond logo. It's always a good one to have around.
No, it's such a beautiful connection, and this bit about her not having her key.
Yeah. Boom.
Now, if I was a TARDIS, I'd be a little choked up at her for exploding, or having exploded on her watch.
Like, I can't stay mad at you.
Yeah, basically. So basically, the TARDIS is that rotten hoagie in Simpsons.
Yeah, stuck behind a radiator.
We got kind of a scrunch there.
Yeah.
A semi-scrunch, if you will.
Semi-scrunch. I love the coat hooks.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, no, it's the hooks that, those are the hooks that I think hold the windows in or something. Basically, yeah.
Remember, people were really adamantly disliking this TARDIS interior, and I was like, just let it grow on you. They all do.
I will say I don't love that it reads police box the right way from the inside. That's the one.
That's fair. That's fair.
Oh, no, because that's like basically the back end of the police box. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, yeah. I guess.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought of that.
It's not the reverse of the outside. It's actually where we've walked through a whole police box to get into the...
All right, Stephen, you brought me around on it.
There we go. That was easy.
Don't encourage him, Shannon.
What do you think about the TARDIS set as a whole?
I love it. I do. I think it's fantastic. I think it suits her. The only thing I don't love is the way that the little arms on the top go up and down. It's a little like unnecessarily spidery for my taste.
It does. Yeah, there's a sort of spidery nature to it, isn't there? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just don't think they needed it. I think like it is a pretty busy set. I love it, but it is a little bit busy, and they didn't need it to move. Also, like it just felt a little bit overkill.
Mm-hmm.
Which is your favorite new series TARDIS interior?
Oh, it's Capaldi's Library.
Yeah,
I would agree. Down. That's my favorite as well.
Like not even a contest.
Yeah. It wouldn't fit with her though.
No, not at all.
No.
It wouldn't be to her taste.
But I think it is my favorite interior as well.
Yeah.
The late great Michael Pickwood.
I loved 11s at the time, but now I just can't even look at it. It's just too esoterically ridiculous.
It's this.
I never loved 11's first TARDIS. I was never into that. I liked 7.
I liked it because I was sick of the 9-10 one at that time.
Yeah.
I
will defend all things about Series 7B for as long as I stand. But
well,
fair enough.
The TARDIS.
Name of the Doctor is glorious.
I have a hard time actually picking up what the geography of this set is, which is what I liked. What I liked about the Pickwood set is that they had upstairs, downstairs, and you could sort of see the whole room in one go at sometimes. That I'm not too sure where other rooms go in this one, as Jodie enjoys her custard cream.
It doesn't matter. It's got a custard cream dispenser.
Exactly.
I was going to say the same thing.
And we all bought custard creams after this, and then they never showed them again. So we all had boxes of custard creams waiting for us in the cupboard.
It's like we still needed more than one appearance as Doctor Who fans to grasp onto a thing. Come on.
Right?
No kidding. Like people ate fish sticks and custard, which is disgusting.
They still eat it. I know, it's ridiculous.
It's not like the first appearance of a fez kicked off any sort of.
That was a bit much, frankly.
Yeah, good point. I bought a fez before it was cool. I bought one in Egypt proper too. So.
But you probably
next time
you probably bought it because of what's his face in Pyramids of Mars.
Actually, no, I did buy it because
that is legit reason to buy it.
I did buy it because of Matt Smith. That's
needs no
very
other.
True. I did buy it. I latched on. Holy crap, that episode flew by. I can't believe this.
It did.
We had so much fun because Shannon, you were here, and we always have fun.
Oh, that's very generous. I'm gonna say that it was because of Jodie.
Sure. We'll go with that.
You can share the credit on that one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Where can people find you on the internet should you wish to be found?
Oh, sure, that's fine. You can find me on Twitter at sdohar. And that's I will post to all of my things there generally. So
super awesome. Thanks again for being on the show, and best of luck on your exams. I don't know why I said that as a prisoner line.
I have been out of my graduate program for quite some time.
Yep, exactly. Next week it's Rosa, everyone. So join us for the commentary series rolling on with episode 3 next week. So until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreescaro.com, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro, subscribe to us on iTunes, and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.